It has been determined by this court, Mr. Brown, you are not the father. The man sitting in the courtroom drops his head. His hands cover his face. 18 months, a year and a half, over 500 days of midnight feedings, diaper changes, first smiles, first words. He thought he was raising his daughter, his flesh and blood, his legacy. And in one sentence from a judge, his entire world implodes. But here's the twist that makes this even worse. The mother sitting across from him, she knew. The entire time, she knew there was a chance this baby wasn't his, and she never said a word. She let him bond with that child, let him fall in love, let him become a father, all while secretly cheating on him and knowing the truth might destroy him. Today, we're breaking down one of the most devastating paternity court cases you'll ever see. A man who gave his heart to a child that wasn't his, a woman who lied for 18 months straight, and a moment of truth that breaks everyone in the courtroom. This isn't just about DNA tests and court rulings. It's about trust, betrayal, and what happens when the person you love destroys your life with a secret. Stick with me. This one will make you feel everything. Let's break down the facts of this case step by step. Mr. Brown and Miss Stewart were in a relationship. We don't know exactly how long or how serious, but serious enough that when she got pregnant, he believed the child was his. And why wouldn't he? She was his girlfriend. They were together. She told him he was the father. So when that baby was born, Mr. Brown stepped up. He became a dad. The first 18 months. For a year and a half, this man raised this little girl as his own. Think about what that means. 18 months is sleepless nights with a crying newborn, learning to change diapers, first bath times, baby's first smile directed at him, first time she grabbed his finger, first steps while he cheered her on, first words that might have been data. Bonding. Deep, irreversible, biological bonding. Your brain changes when you become a parent. Neurologically, you form attachments that are almost impossible to break. This man became her father in every way except one, genetically, and he had no idea. But the secret. But Miss Stewart knew something he didn't. While she was with Mr. Brown, she was also sleeping with another man. She got pregnant, and she genuinely didn't know which man was the father. But instead of telling Mr. Brown the truth, I cheated, and there's a chance this baby isn't yours, she made a choice. She kept the secret. She let him believe he was the father, let him sign the birth certificate, probably, let him introduce himself as her dad, let him build a life around this child. For 18 months, she woke up every day and chose to keep lying. So what changed? Why did she suddenly decide to reveal the truth? According to the testimony, she wanted to prove that the other man was the father, not because she felt guilty, not because Mr. Brown deserved the truth, but because she wanted the other man to step up, probably for child support, probably for financial reasons. She needed to prove paternity to get what she needed from the real father. And that meant destroying Mr. Brown in the process. So they end up in courtroom. Mr. Brown, Miss Stewart, and presumably the other man who might be the father. DNA tests are done, results come back, and the judge reads them out loud. Mr. Brown, you are not the father. Mr. Brown's reaction. Watch his face in that moment. He's devastated. He tries to hold it together. Sometimes I'm wrong, sometimes I'm right. But you can hear his voice breaking, see his body language collapsing. The judge tells him to sit down, to take a seat, because he looks like he's about to fall over. And all he can say is, I'm so sorry. Wait, he's apologizing? For what? He didn't do anything wrong. He was the victim here. But that's what trauma does. It makes you apologize for feeling pain. Then comes the most damning part of the testimony. The judge asks her directly, if you had stayed in the relationship, would you have ever told him that this may not be his child? And Miss Stewart answers without hesitation, no. Let that sink in. She would have let this man raise another man's child for his entire life and never told him the truth. Not when the child turned 5, not when she graduated high school, not when she got married. Never. She was perfectly content to let this man live a lie forever. The wait of 18 months. Mr. Brown says it in court. 18 months. It's a long time. It's a long time. And he's right. It is. That's not a few weeks of confusion. That's not a mistake that got corrected quickly. That's a year and a half of his life. A year and a half of emotional investment. A year and a half of love that now has nowhere to go. And all of it was built on a lie. Let's talk about what Miss Stewart actually did here. Because this isn't just cheating. This is something way worse. Layer 1, the infidelity. Yes, she cheated. That's the foundation of this betrayal. She was in a relationship with Mr. Brown and sleeping with another man at the same time. Already that's a violation of trust. But it gets worse. Layer 2, the pregnancy deception. When she got pregnant, she knew there were 2 possible fathers. A decent person would say, I need to tell both of these men the truth. We need to figure out who the father is before anyone gets attached. But she didn't do that. She chose one man, Mr. Brown, and told him with certainty, this is your baby. She eliminated his ability to make an informed choice. She stole his agency. Layer 3, the 18-month lie. Every single day for 18 months, she woke up knowing she was lying. Every time Mr. Brown changed a diaper, she knew. Every time he bought baby food, paid for doctor visits, woke up in the middle of the night to comfort a crying baby, she knew he might not be the father. And she said nothing. That's not a lie of omission. That's active, ongoing deception. Layer 4, letting him bond. This is the cruelest part. She didn't just lie about biology. She let him form a deep emotional bond with a child. She watched him fall in love with that little girl, watched him become her father in every meaningful way. And she knew that one day she might rip that away from him. She let the bomb tick. Layer 5, the selfish reveal. She didn't come clean because of guilt or because Mr. Brown deserved the truth. She revealed it because she needed to prove paternity for the other man, for her own benefit. She destroyed Mr. Brown's world as a side effect of getting what she wanted. He was collateral damage in her scheme. Layer 6, the I would never have told him admission. This is the part that reveals her true character. When the judge asked if she would have ever told him, she said no without hesitation. No shame, no apology, just cold honesty. I would have let him live this lie forever. That tells you everything you need to know about who she is. What this does to a person. For Mr. Brown, this isn't just heartbreak. It's a complete destruction of his sense of reality. Every memory he has of the past 18 months is now poisoned. That first time the baby smiled at him, tainted. That first time she reached for him, tainted. Every moment of joy, pride, love, all of it is now wrapped in betrayal. He can't even cherish those memories anymore because they're built on a lie, and that's a special kind of psychological torture. The legal versus emotional reality. Legally, the court just determined he's not the father, so technically he has no obligations, no child support, no custody rights. But emotionally, he is her father. He raised her, he loves her, and now he's being told, actually, you have no legal connection to this child. You need to walk away. How do you walk away from a child you love? How do you just stop being a dad? You can't. That bond doesn't disappear because of a DNA test. So Mr. Brown is stuck in hell. He loves a child he has no right to love. He grieves a relationship that legally never existed. And what about that child? Everyone's focused on Mr. Brown and Miss Stewart, but what about that little girl? For 18 months, Mr. Brown was her dad, the only father she's ever known. And now he's gone, vanished from her life. She won't understand why. She's too young. All she'll know is the man who loved her, who was always there, isn't there anymore. That child is a victim too, and Miss Stewart did this to her own daughter. This case isn't unique. Paternity fraud happens more often than people think. Let's talk about the psychology behind it. Why do women do this? Not all women, obviously, but the ones who commit paternity fraud, why? 1. Fear of consequences. She knows if she tells the truth, the relationship might end. She might be left to raise the baby alone. So she lies to secure support, stability, a co-parent. 2. Genuine uncertainty and wishful thinking. Sometimes women genuinely aren't sure who the father is, and they convince themselves it's the man they want it to be. It must be him. It has to be him. I'll just believe it is. They lie to themselves first, then to everyone else. 3. Financial motivation. One man might be more financially stable, more likely to provide, better positioned to support a child. So she picks him, regardless of biology. 4. Manipulative control. In some cases, it's about power, controlling the narrative, controlling the man, trapping him in a relationship. The child becomes a tool of manipulation. 5. Lack of empathy. Some people simply don't consider the damage they're causing. They're so focused on their own needs that they can't see the harm. Miss Stewart seems to fall into this category. She showed no remorse, no understanding of what she'd done. The male victim experience. Men who discover they're not the biological father of a child they've been raising experience a unique form of trauma. It's called paternity fraud trauma, and it includes 1. Grief. They're mourning the loss of a child who's still alive. The relationship ends, but the child doesn't die. They're just not yours anymore. 2. Betrayal trauma. The person they trusted most, their partner, deceived them in the deepest possible way. 3. Identity crisis. I was a father, now I'm not. Who am I? Their entire identity has been built around being a dad, and it's ripped away. 4. Anger and rage. Understandably, they're furious at the mother, at the situation, at themselves for not knowing. 5. Humiliation. There's a social shame attached to this. People judge, how did you not know? You must have suspected, as if it's his fault for trusting. The legal nightmare. In some states, even if DNA proves you're not the father, if you've been acting as the father for a certain period of time, you can still be held legally responsible for child support. The logic, you've established a parental relationship. The child depends on you. Biology doesn't matter. So men like Mr. Brown can find themselves in a situation where they are not the biological father, they're emotionally devastated by the betrayal, and still have to pay child support for 18 years. The system punishes the victim. Why don't we take this seriously? Society tends to minimize paternity fraud. Well, he should have gotten a DNA test earlier. At least he got to experience being a dad for a while. The child needs support, so he should just pay anyway. But imagine if the genders were reversed. Imagine if a man tricked a woman into raising a child that wasn't hers for 18 months. We'd call it abuse, manipulation, psychological torture. But when it happens to men, we shrug. The impact on future relationships. After something like this, how does Mr. Brown ever trust again? If he dates someone new and she gets pregnant, will he believe it's his? Or will he demand a DNA test and destroy the relationship with suspicion? He's been traumatized, and that trauma will infect every future relationship. Let's try to understand what was going through Miss Stewart's head, not to excuse it, to understand it. The initial deception. When she first found out she was pregnant, she had a choice. Option A, tell both men the truth, get a DNA test, deal with the consequences honestly. Option B, pick the man she wanted to be the father and pretend to be certain. She chose option B. Why? Possibility 1. She loved Mr. Brown. Maybe the other guy was just a fling, a mistake. So she convinced herself, it's probably Mr. Brown's baby anyway. I'll just act like I'm sure. And then she committed to the lie so hard that she started believing it herself. Possibility 2. She wanted stability. Maybe Mr. Brown was the better option financially, emotionally, practically. So she chose him strategically, made a calculated decision to secure her future. Possibility 3. She panicked. Maybe she genuinely didn't know what to do and made a snap decision in fear. And then, once the lie started, it became too big to take back. If I tell him now, he'll leave. Better to just keep going and hope it works out. But here's what I can't get past. Every single day for 18 months, she had a chance to tell the truth. This wasn't a one-time lie that spiraled. This was a choice she made every morning. She watched Mr. Brown love that baby, watched him sacrifice sleep, money, time, energy, and she said nothing. How do you live with that? How do you kiss someone goodnight knowing you're destroying their life? How do you accept their love while lying to their face?
How do you watch them bond with a child and know you might rip that child away someday? There are two possibilities. Option 1, she feels terrible guilt but is too scared to confess. She's trapped in her own lie, hating herself every day but unable to find the courage to come clean. This would make her a coward, but at least human. Option 2, she doesn't feel guilty at all. She's so focused on her own needs, her own survival, her own comfort, that she genuinely doesn't register the harm she's causing. Based on her courtroom demeanor and her answer to the judge, I think it's option 2. She seems to lack empathy. She doesn't see Mr. Brown as a full person with feelings. He's a means to an end. The "I would never have told him" moment. This is the most revealing line in the entire case. The judge asks, if you had stayed in the relationship, would you have ever told him? She doesn't hesitate, doesn't even pretend to feel bad, just says, no. That tells me 1, she has no remorse, 2, she sees nothing wrong with what she did, 3, she would do it again if it benefited her. That's not a person who made a mistake, that's a character flaw. What she's teaching her daughter. That little girl is going to grow up and eventually learn the truth. She'll learn that her mom lied to a man for 18 months, let him believe he was her father, then ripped him away when it was convenient. What lesson does that teach? Lying is okay if it gets you what you want? Men's feelings don't matter. Family is whatever you decide it is in the moment. Miss Stewart isn't just hurting Mr. Brown, she's setting her daughter up for a lifetime of relationship dysfunction. Does she deserve forgiveness? Some people would say, she made a mistake, she was scared, she deserves compassion. I'm not one of those people. Compassion is for people who show remorse, who take accountability, who try to make amends. Miss Stewart showed none of that. She admitted she would never have told the truth. That's not a mistake, that's a character flaw.
This case raises huge questions about paternity law, men's rights, and social double standards. Should paternity tests be mandatory? Some countries, like France, actually ban paternity tests without a court order. The reasoning? It could destabilize families and undermine the father-child bond. But cases like this prove the opposite. The lie destabilizes families. The truth protects people. Arguments for mandatory paternity testing. 1. Men have a right to know. If we believe in bodily autonomy and informed consent, men deserve to know if they're raising their own biological child. 2. It protects children. Children deserve to know their medical history, genetic background, and true parentage. 3. It prevents years of deception. If tests were routine at birth, Miss Stewart couldn't have pulled this off for 18 months. 4. It holds women accountable. Right now, women can lie with almost no consequences. Mandatory testing removes that option. Arguments against mandatory testing. 1. It assumes women are liars. Making it mandatory sends the message that we don't trust women by default. 2. It could destroy families. Some men might not want to know. Ignorance might be better for family stability in some cases. 3. Biology isn't everything. Fatherhood is about who raises the child, not just DNA. Mandatory tests prioritize genetics over relationship. 4. Privacy concerns. Some people don't want the government mandating medical tests on newborns for social engineering purposes. Where I stand, I think paternity tests should be opt-out, not opt-in. Make it standard practice at birth, but allow men to decline if they choose. That way, men who want certainty get it, and men who don't care about biology can skip it. But the current system, where men have to actively request a test and risk destroying their relationship by showing lack of trust, is broken. What should happen to women who commit paternity fraud? Right now, in most places, there are 0 legal consequences. You can lie to a man for years, let him raise another man's child, and face no criminal charges. At most, you might lose custody or have to pay back child support. but usually nothing. I think paternity fraud should be a crime, a form of fraud, emotional abuse, or both. Consequences could include criminal charges, fraud, identity theft, financial restitution, paying back money spent on the child, loss of custody, restraining orders if needed. Some people say, but that would hurt the child. No, the mother hurt the child by lying. She should face consequences for that choice. The double standard. If a man lied about something this significant, let's say he secretly had another family, he'd be vilified, destroyed socially, potentially face legal consequences. But when a woman lies about paternity, we make excuses. She was scared. She was trying to do what's best for the child. The child needs support. No, she committed fraud. Call it what it is. What about Mr. Brown's rights? In this case, Mr. Brown loses everything and gains nothing. He loses 18 months of his life, thousands of dollars spent on a child, the emotional bond with a little girl he loved, his ability to trust future partners. What does he get? An apology? No. Financial restitution? No. Custody rights? No. Even the ability to see the child he raised? Probably not. He's left with nothing but trauma. That's not justice. So what should change? 1. Mandatory paternity testing at birth. Opt-out available. 2. Criminal penalties for paternity fraud. 3. Financial restitution for defrauded fathers. 4. Custody rights for men who bonded with children, even if not biological. 5. Better support systems for male victims of this type of fraud. Until these changes happen, men like Mr. Brown will continue to be destroyed by lies. So what happens to Mr. Brown now? How does he heal from this? The grief process. He has to grieve, not just the relationship with Miss Stewart, the relationship with that little girl. She's alive, she's out there, but she's not his daughter anymore. That's a unique kind of loss that most people never experience. He'll go through all the stages of denial, maybe the test was wrong, anger, how could she do this to me? Bargaining, what if I just stay in her life anyway? Depression, I've lost everything. Acceptance, this happened and I have to move forward. It'll take years, maybe a lifetime. Therapy is essential. He needs professional help, someone who specializes in betrayal trauma, paternity fraud, and complex grief. This isn't something you get over. This is something you learn to carry. The danger of bitterness. The biggest risk for Mr. Brown is becoming bitter, hateful toward women, unable to trust. Some men who go through this become misogynistic, paranoid, emotionally closed off. That would be understandable, but it would also mean Miss Stewart's betrayal destroyed his past, but also his future too. The goal is to heal without letting bitterness take root. Can he ever have a relationship again? Maybe, but it'll be hard. He'll struggle to trust. He'll probably want DNA tests for any future children, and he should get them. He'll have to find a partner who understands his trauma and doesn't judge him for his caution. It's possible, but it'll take time and the right person. What about the child? This is the hardest part. Mr. Brown loves that little girl. He raised her. He bonded with her. But legally, he has no right to her. Miss Stewart can cut him off completely if she wants. Should he fight for visitation? Should he walk away? There's no good answer. Both options hurt. If he stays involved, he's prolonging his own pain and complicating the child's life. If he walks away, he's abandoning a child he loves, and she'll grow up wondering why his dad disappeared. The long-term impact. Studies on men who experience paternity fraud show long-term effects: trust issues, depression, anxiety, relationship difficulties, financial stress, identity crises. Mr. Brown will carry this for the rest of his life, but he can also choose to turn this pain into purpose. Maybe he speaks out about paternity fraud. Maybe he advocates for legal changes. Maybe he helps other men going through this. Trauma can destroy you, or it can transform you. For anyone going through this, if you're watching this and you've experienced paternity fraud, you are not alone. This is more common than people admit. You're not stupid. You're not weak. You are betrayed by someone you trusted. Get a lawyer. Understand your rights. Get therapy. Process the trauma. Get support. Find other men who've been through this. And know that you will survive this. It'll hurt like hell, but you will survive. The silver lining, if there is one. For Mr. Brown, there's one small silver lining. He found out after 18 months instead of 18 years. Imagine if Miss Stewart had kept this secret for 20 years, if he'd raised this child all the way through high school. The devastation would be unimaginable. At least now he's young enough to rebuild, to start over, to find real love and have children who are actually his. It's not much, but it's something.
Mr. Brown, you are not the father. 5 words that destroyed a man's world. 18 months of love, 18 months of memories, 18 months of being a dad, all built on a lie. And the woman who lied? She admitted she would never have told him the truth. She would have let him live that lie forever. That level of deception, that level of cruelty, it's hard to comprehend. But it happens, every day, to men who trusted the wrong person. This case isn't just about one man and one child. It's about a system that fails to protect men from paternity fraud, a culture that excuses women's lies, and a legal framework that leaves male victims with nothing. Mr. Brown deserves better. Every man in his situation deserves better. If you're watching this and you're in a relationship, let this be a reminder. Trust, but verify, especially when it comes to something as life-changing as paternity. And if you're someone who's lied about paternity, know this: the truth always comes out, and when it does, you won't just lose the person you lied to, you'll lose your integrity, your reputation, and any respect people had for you. Tell the truth, even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. What do you think? Was Miss Stewart's lie unforgivable? Should there be legal consequences for paternity fraud? Drop your thoughts in the comments. Hit that like button if this story hit you hard. Subscribe for more real talk on complex family issues. Share this with someone who needs to see it. And to Mr. Brown, if you ever see this, I'm sorry. You deserved better. Your pain is real, and your healing is possible. I'll see you in the next one.